All right, all right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Back on later time at a later time. Seeing happy holiday, happy MLK Day to everyone. Seeing that we are on a holiday, figured I push the time back a little bit and seeing that the topic is what the topic is, just know not gonna be on here for too long today because it's one of those topics that I was dreading. Dreading. All right, LinkedIn, what's up? LinkedIn, what's up? We here, LinkedIn, we here. Let me just check all the platforms, make sure we're all good to go. Video's already been reposted. Make sure we're good on Facebook. By the way, for you guys who don't know, if you're new around here, I do lives Monday through check Monday through Friday. Usually I do them earlier in the morning, but seeing that we're in the holiday, I pushed it back a little bit. Push the time back a little bit. Facebook, we're good. And let me just check YouTube real quick as we move forward and discuss what we're going to discuss. As you guys know, regular content, committed content creators, folks that, when we taking an L, we taking an L. We gotta take the L like men. Even when it comes to topics that I'm not too excited about talking about, still got to talk about it, right? Still got to talk about it. As you see, I'm wearing my Michigan hat all day today. So people understand it's a big day. It's a big day for anybody who's been involved with college football. If college football has any sort of relatability, or if you've relied on college football, if you've been a part of college football, has it been any part of your upbringing, it is a big day. It's a big day for the sport. It's a great time to be someone that is a fan or being a part of college football because of what it can do. However, it just goes like this sometimes. Last year, this Block M, we were in it 15-0, getting ready to, win the first national championship in many, many years. And now a year later, we gotta go watch Ohio State and Notre Dame, two teams that, like I was saying this morning, I hate equally. Again, I'm from Silver Spring, Maryland. I grew up in Maryland, and I wasn't part of the whole Ann Arbor and, learn to hate Ohio State. I learned my hate and disgust for Ohio State came over the period of years. I initially thought Notre Dame was just as bad. Like, I didn't like Notre Dame just as probably more than Ohio State because me personally, I graduated, and I played for a Catholic school that is very much like Notre Dame. And then I tell people all the time, look, as much as I love the football experience, as much as the football program molded me as a man, the Catholic school, going to a Catholic school, building a football program around the whole religion idea and Catholic school idea situation, knowing the inner workings of it, knowing how the business and how certain things get done there. I'm telling you, Notre Dame, no, I am not a fan of Notre Dame at all. I'm telling you right now, I was torn when it comes to picking a team. And again, when it comes to how I became a Michigan fan, earlier on in life, again, I just wasn't a fan. I'm not a fan of Notre Dame. Nothing to do with the football program specifically. Again, I love football in general. Nothing to do with the players, nothing to do with the coaches, nothing to do with the people that are involved with the football program. But it's just like, a DeMatha, because I played a good council, but it's just like my disgust for a DeMatha or a Gonzaga or a St. John's. Again, there's certain elements to it to where when you love the football program, you're around the other people that are kind of outside looking in, and it's again, if you're committed to the game, then you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, so before I know I went on a tangent earlier to start, let me just introduce myself real quick before in case there's anybody new listening, new coming into my world. My name is Aswan Crookshank, former Division I college football player and current 5-time published author and educator. And what I created with that plus LY you see right there on the top of your screen, the whole Move Swiftly framework. What this is all about right here is about taking the innovative teamwork lessons that are applied on the football, that you learn on the football field, and aligning them with businesses, aligning them with business owners to teach business owners how to create more cohesive and motivated staffs that look very similar to motivated youth and high school championship football teams. That's what we want to take. We're going to take those lessons, apply them to business owners so they have a staff that's incredibly hungry and incredibly motivated to go out and do some incredible work. And they know their worth, they know why they're doing it, and they just go after it day in and day out and 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 day in and day out. That's what we do over here in the Move Swiftly world. So before I get started on today's topic, let me get through some announcements real quick. First things first, West Palm Beach, Florida. If you are interested in free boxing lessons, I put those on every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, every Saturday morning, every other Saturday morning. If you're interested in that, just simply hit the QR code that you see right there, and we will get you where you need to get. We'll make you part of the group messages and give you all the details and all that kind of stuff. Next thing. Business owners, if you have yet to do so, be sure you go to freeguide.makeyourmove.com. That's freeguide.makeyourmove.com. Put in your information. It'll take you maybe 10 to 15 seconds to put your information in. You'll get a free guide. What I've created, me being Mr. Innovative Teamwork, the Innovative Teamwork Guy, the host of the #1 podcast on innovative teamwork, founder and CEO of the Move Swiftly brand, the author of Your Guide to Innovative Teamwork, what I'm all about. I created 10 easy to understand steps, easy to understand bullet points in which you can use right now to make it so your team is running in a more efficient manner, and your employees, your staff, the people that go to bat, the people that grind for you, they're out there and they know exactly what their measurables are and what they're all about. 10 easy steps. All right. Finally, Patreon. Tap into the Patreon. Make sure you tap into the Patreon link with me as we get going out here in 2025. My primary way of working with people is going to be through the Patreon link. It's going to be through the exclusive Patreon community. We have something there for everybody, whether it's preseason, regular season, or post-season. Okay, let's get into this, man. Let's get into this. All right. I hated the fact that I have to talk about this, but it is important when you're considering how the hell this happened. All right. And I've been dreading this conversation since, for 2 weeks now, or a week now, since it actually became a possibility, since the Final Four. And it was, Penn State, Texas, Notre Dame, and Ohio State. You're just literally missing one team, missing the Michigan State Spartans, and that would be all four of Michigan's main rivalries to make the Final Four. A year after we go and win it, go 15-0. Now the next year, we have to see our biggest rivals competing in the Final Four. When we had the year that we had, a year that happy that we won the ReliaQuest Bowl. We beat Alabama, which was a huge win. I was there for it. My voice is now coming back from that game. But also a year that we beat Ohio State, which was a huge win because we had no business. I mean, our offense, we all know, anybody that's watched the Michigan games this year, our offense was so predictable. It was so bad. It was like there was a point. I remember actually after that win in Alabama when Davis Warren got hurt. Shout out to Davis Warren. He got hurt in the ReliaQuest Bowl, but they put Alex Orji in, who I think I read he's transferred now to UNLV, but he didn't throw a pass. The one pass that he threw was an interception. And I remember after winning that game, again, I don't know how we won that game against Alabama, but I'm talking to other fellow maize and blue Michigan fans that are like, oh my God, I mean, we're finally going to get a quarterback that can throw a forward pass. So the fact that we beat Ohio State in Columbus that game, again, I don't know how I do know how it actually happened. I'm just still in shock that it actually happened, to be 100% honest with you. I thought, as I was given my take and my keys to victory going into that game, it's the same keys to victory that, Notre Dame has for this week, is if you can slow down those monsters, if you can slow down the big play, if you can make it so Ohio State doesn't, win the game in that first quarter, you have a chance. And that's all we did. We controlled the run. We made it so the pass rush was where it needed to be. Well, Howard was very uncomfortable. He never got into a rhythm. He was throwing the ball all over the place, and we walked out of Columbus with the victory. So, again, as great as that win was, and as great as the Alabama win was, neither one of those wins were national championship wins. So there's only so much talking, you know what I'm saying? There's only so much talking we can do. There's only so much trolling we can do throughout the offseason, especially given that it's very likely that Ohio State goes on and wins the national championship tonight. So let's talk about how or why I'm calling this the Ohio State Bowl. And I'm bringing all of this up kind of as a metaphor for you as a business owner to understand how you can use this example and create opportunities like this for yourself. How you can put out a solid put out so much of a product. I want to call it a product, but be able to mold men, be able to mold employees, be able to mold people, to build an organization in which molds people, in which you could even have a day like this. So when I say a day like this, let me fully describe to you exactly why everybody who is a Buckeye, everybody who bleeds that scarlet and gray, everybody who's truly a Buckeye in their heart, loves this university, loves this school, is, marketing for the entire state of Columbus, all the money that the Ohio State University brings in. Everyone that's a proud Buckeye needs to have their chest poking out today, because this is going to be a damn good day for anybody that's associated with the Ohio State University. Let me just tell you why. Again, over here in the Move Swiftly world, what we cover a lot of, seeing that I'm a kid born and raised in Maryland that fell in love with football, and football is where I got my identity. I got really wrapped up in a world of football, politics, and business, in that order, like football, politics, business. And say it again: football, politics, and business. That was my world growing up. I was around some things, seeing some things growing up that really taught me that all three of those things are in alignment. All right, whether you like it or not, all three of them: football, politics, and business. And the reason football makes the list is because football is a sport that has a ton of popularity. All right, it's the popularity in football that makes it so it's intriguing to the politicians who are the lawmakers, who are going out there saying that they're promising jobs, or that they're creating jobs for this person, and that their policy is going to be better than that policy because that policy is going to create and land more jobs, blah, 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 blah. That's what all politicians say they're going to do. They're in it for the people, and they're going to do this for the people. Yet it's the business owners on the back end that create the jobs that these politicians can actually promise to people. So the politicians are the ones that are actually, saying they're doing these things and they're putting little policies in place, but the business owners are the ones that are actually creating the jobs, and they're in bed with the politicians, and the politicians are the ones who can now promise a certain job, a certain thing, a certain career, a certain this for all sorts of people. So when you get a sport with the popularity of football, there's the popularity, there's the people, there's the sales, there's the money, and then there's politicians pay attention, they associate themselves with that, and then the business owners are the ones who are actually creating the businesses that create the revenue stream, and all three of them just align. That's just the way it works. All right. So saying all that, you got to understand it's a very, very big, enormous day for anybody associated with with Ohio State University, because in addition to not only the likelihood of them winning a national championship today, if they were to lose this national championship game today, the head coach, the story has been all week, for the past week or so, the story has been about Marcus Freeman. And again, I hate even bringing it up, but the fact that the media and the media circus and what they like to do with race and the race baiters, all that, what they have brought up on multiple occasions is they have reminded you that Marcus Freeman would be, if they win, he would be the first African-American coach to win a college football national championship. Again, if you're new to my world, if you're used to me, you would know, for me, that really doesn't mean a whole lot, because especially given the way he's reacted to the question, given that he's just as much Asian as he is black. I just don't think that bringing up the fact that he's a black coach aside, as opposed to just saying he's a good coach, but bringing up the fact that he's black, to me, it just sends the wrong message to any young coach of color. Doesn't really matter. It's, can you damn coach? I don't care what your color is. Can you coach? Are you good enough to coach? And he's clearly good enough to coach. He's clearly good enough to motivate his men. He's clearly good enough to know what he's doing. His color and his skin tone doesn't mean anything at all when it comes to that. However, the media makes it a thing. So because the media makes it a thing, now he's a celebrity. Now they've turned Marcus Freeman into some sort of a symbol, some sort of political symbol. In fact, I even heard the question posed to him. It was posed to him in a way that was like, oh, today's Martin Luther King Day. That day, the Martin Luther King Day. Can you describe the significance in you, Marcus Freeman, being the first African-American coach to win a college football playoff championship game on the day in which we honor Martin Luther King? And as he does typically, is he kind of just said, look, the color doesn't matter. He pretty much answered the same way. But because of just a question, because he was posed a question, he's now become this symbol. He's now become this symbol that has made him a celebrity. And then all of that is a win for Ohio State. Just the craziest part about it. All of that is a win politically and from a popularity standpoint for Ohio State, because let's say it happens. Let's say it does. And Notre Dame actually pulls off the upset, beats Ohio State, wins the game, the whole thing. The people who really were paying attention to that part of the story, kind of that race baiting part of the story, you know what they're going to find out is that Marcus Freeman is an Ohio State alum. He played his football at Ohio State. He went back and coached under Jim Tressel, legendary Ohio State coach who won a national championship. He was one of the dudes that built up and was part of that reign. I mean, there was a period there where I was as a Michigan fan, I was like, are we ever going to beat these dudes? And he was part of all of that. Growing up, again, I played linebacker. There was and he's maybe like 2 years old. Marcus Freeman was like 2 years older than me, if I'm not mistaken. Somewhere he's old enough to where I was playing in high school when he was playing in college. So I remember, watching film of him, James Laurinaitis, Laurinaitis was a dude. I'm talking about linebackers. And if you're talking linebackers with me, I'm always watching how they move. I'm watching their steps, how they take on blocks, how they get rid of blocks, how they blitz, how they play coverage. That's my position. That's what I do. That's what I do, man. So, Marcus Freeman is somebody that's incredibly likable, just a great, and you could tell in his interviews that he's just a great person in general, right? So when it comes to the political and the popularity and everything that the sport is all about, let's just say Notre Dame does pull off the upset. They win the game, which would be a huge upset. You know what Ohio State gets to do? Ohio State gets to go to the next recruit. They go to get to the next to whoever it is, the next top recruit coming out this year, and they get to say, hey, that Marcus Freeman, you know where he went to school? Get to say that guy Marcus Freeman, who just beat our ass at the national championship, we're speaking hypothetically here now, just beat our ass at the national championship. You know what school he played for? You know where he committed? You know where he started his coaching career? So they win regardless, because even if they lose tonight, they get to go to the next recruit and say, well, hey, if you're going to lose to anybody, might as well be a former Buckeye, right? And that ultimately just starts the process over and over again. So they can't lose today. Now, I'll close you out with this example, because so for those of you who don't know, I teach at the school named the Center for Creative Education. And she is a first grader. Yeah, first grade. There's a new first grade student that has come to the school. And because, we're a startup school, we're always in kind of dealing with a lot of turnover and, getting new kids and all that. So there is a family. I'm not going to put the names out there, but there's basically it's a young first grade girl with a two-parent house, and they are incredibly big Ohio State fans, like huge Ohio State fans, massively, to the point where when we tapped that ass a couple months ago Oh my God. I mean, the look on her face, the look on the mother's face when she saw me with this, it was priceless. Oh, it was priceless. It was so good. Because nobody expected us to go to Columbus and handle business. So when we beat that ass and she came in that Monday after Michigan won, beat Ohio State, she just looks at me with this look of disgust that's in her face. And I was like, this is incredible. This is the way I want Ohio State fans looking. This is the disgust in their face, the disappointment, the anger. That's what I enjoy seeing on the fans of Ohio State people, right? So anyway, her husband came in when I think it was came in earlier last week when the matchup was set. It's like, again, I can't do much talking at this point. We as Michigan, we ain't playing nobody, we ain't in it. So, I'm kind of just chatting with him about, what he thinks is going to happen in the game tonight between Ohio State, Notre Dame, and all that. And he looks at me, he goes, we really can't lose. We really can't lose tonight, because let's say Marcus Freeman gets it done and Notre Dame gets it done and they pull off the upset. Marcus Freeman is one of us. Marcus Freeman is a Buckeye through and through. So there is no way that they're losing. And I'm bringing all of this up. I'm making sure I'm harping on this point for a specific reason. All right. As you're building your business, the question has to become, how are you molding people? This is the lesson. This is the lesson today. All right. This is the lesson that we're going to take away from today. And again, I'm not going to keep you on here for too long. I just want to make sure I point out these points because this is a topic this is one of my superpowers is transitioning what we see happening football wise and transitioning it to how you can run your business and giving you some gems, give you some tools, give you some things that you can work towards building your business. All right. As you see how Ohio State people are coming up in the world, and as we're in a day now where, and this is the first time this has ever happened because the college football playoffs have never been this long. I think Ryan Day said something about the fact this is the longest college football season that there's ever been. So we have never seen a day in which we get the inauguration of the president, the new U.S. president, Donald Trump, president-elect. We have never seen a day in which the president will be sworn in. And on that same day, the biggest game in college football will be played on the exact same day. We've never seen that combination, all right? And then, now, again, I'm a person that I'm happy at the fact that Trump is being sworn in. It's actually a relief that it wasn't the other candidate. Thank God. Thank God it's not the other candidate, especially with that farewell speech, especially with all the things that Biden administration was doing as, he was getting out there, that farewell speech and a lot of the stuff, like the stuff that was coming out as, Democrats are just bitter at the fact that there's no humility, nothing, again, I won't get too off track on politics here, but when it comes to just the look and feel of it, you got to understand JD Vance is a rock star. All right. In my opinion, whether you're blue, red, white, green, whatever color you are, whatever party affiliation you associate yourself with, I challenge you to go look at the 12 minutes worth the 12 minutes. Go look up the 12-minute piece, the 12-minute segment between JD Vance and Megyn Kelly. And I remember playing clips a little bit of about a couple months ago when they first won on this very stream that you can go look up. I believe the title of that episode is titled The Right Replacement. But go look up JD Vance and Megyn Kelly and how much that guy has been through. I don't care who you are, who you affiliate, or who you associate yourself with. When you watch that 12 minutes of everything that JD Vance has lived through, you will become a fan of JD Vance. I promise you, no ifs, ands, or buts. You're listening and speaking to someone with a big Block M Michigan hat on, and I'm telling you, I bang with JD Vance. I like the guy. I love his story. I love what he's about. I love the fact that there was a point where he said to himself, he would never vote for Trump. He was so against what Trump was all about. And to see that them two were able to come together and, put differences aside, put the past in the past, wherever it was, and come together and create an opportunity. I don't care who you are. I don't care what state you're. I don't care what you're about. You just got to respect that. You got to respect that because that should be the mentality. That should be what we teach our kids. That should be how we as adults handle all of our situations, right? So again, I'm happy that it is who it is being sworn in. All right, we'll just get that out the way now. However, it just sucks because it is who is being sworn in. He's an Ohio State guy, man. And you got to have the day that it's likely that they go and win a national championship. He's got to be sworn in. So Ohio State now has more ammo. They don't get to just so here's what happens. And let me just walk you through the recruiting process for those of you who don't know. Here's what happens. Ryan, whether it's Ryan Day or anybody that's walking around with the Ohio State logo, any coach that's walking around with the Ohio State logo or the Michigan logo for that matter, any college football logo, you could replace it, whoever it is. If they're walking around and they're going and talking to top recruits, the next big time recruit, here's how the conversation is happening. All right. The coach is pitching the program, selling the program, and telling the program, hey, telling the kid about the program and how great the program is going to be. And telling the kid how great the program is going to be, yada, yada, yada. We do this, we produce this, we're all about this, yada, yada, all the championships we won, the rings we've had, how many times we play on TV, how many guys we got in the NFL, blah, 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 blah. That's the way that a college coach is going and talking to these recruits. Here's what I'm talking about a solid parent, a parent that is there and has the values and is asking the right questions. Here's what the right parents, all right, the parents that, and if you're not this parent, make sure you're asking this question. I'm giving you some advice as we go along here. The question that the parent has to the coach is, okay, but what about if my son doesn't make it to the NFL? The right parent is going to ask that question. Okay, the correct question for a parent who's being approached or being told by or being offered by a college football coach or program is being told how great the program is. The parent is going to ask, hopefully, again, I'm giving you some advice, wink, wink here. Okay, the correct parent is going to ask, okay, how does your school help my kid if he doesn't make it to the NFL? How does your school help my son in particular, because we're talking football? How does your school help my son if he does not make it to the NFL? How does your school help my son and with his academics, with his career outside of football? How does your school help my son if, God forbid, he gets hurt? How does your school help my son if if something goes wrong and it just so happens that somebody else is better than him and he's not playing? How does your school help my son outside of football? Period. And then the coach is left with that answer. You have to answer that question if you're dealing with a solid group of parents. You have got to answer that question, and you better be firm on it. You better know what the hell it is you're talking about. You ask that question. Now, given the hours and given the time that most college coaches, especially college coaches at that level, spend on football stuff, in particular solely football stuff, they can never really give a great answer to that question because they don't know. They really don't know. They spend all 24 hours of the day thinking about the football program and how to win a championship and who's going to be better than who. They spent all their time with strictly just the football stuff. So they can never really give a great answer to that question. They really can't, unless you have names like JD Vance, right? So you have a name, and if we're talking about Michigan, a name like a Dave Portnoy, right? Unless you have a name outside of football that say, yeah, well, we have people like, JD Vance, he's a vice president. Or if I'm gonna be fair, we are speaking on Michigan. We have Dave Portnoy, one of the richest people in the world, right? So when it comes to now, if that question gets asked, and it will, again, by the good parent, the right parents, the parents that most college coaches like to deal with, if that question gets asked, they get to say, hey, the current vice president of the United States is an Ohio State alum, and a proud one that, mentions them. He mentioned them, and I remember he mentioned them in the RNC speech when everybody was, talking about those Ohio chants. He goes, hey, guys, chill out. We got to win Michigan. We got to win Michigan too. Cool out with all that Ohio State chants and stuff like that before we lose the Michigan vote if you guys keep going. Right. So I'm breaking all this down for you because as a business, it's so crucial. It's so important. It's so necessary for you to understand all of the elements that go along with being in business. It's bigger than just selling product. It's bigger than just offering a service. It's bigger than the logo. It's bigger than a T-shirt. It's bigger than a website. It's bigger than all of the things, the semantics that go along with being in business, making it look like you're in business. How are you molding people? That's the question. How exactly are you molding people? What is your vision? What is your vision for molding an individual? This person comes in at this age, entry-level employee, and because they've gone through your system, because there's a system in place that you believe in, that you know is going to help them improve in every aspect of their life, how are they leaving your system so they can go out and achieve great things and then be able to come back, whether they come back physically or you be able to look at them and say, that person did this, that person was able to go out and accomplish this by being here. So I'm going to go and get the next person and explain to them, this is the system that actually works. That's all of this is. What we're going to see today is a culmination of all of that. It's a culmination of a system in place that started with Woody Hayes, and it's been emphasized. I mean, and on top of all of that, I forgot to even mention this. The person doing the damn play-by-play, Kirk Herbstreit, is going to be with the play-by-play. An Ohio State man through and through. I mean, I remember reading his book out of the pocket, reading his book Out of the Pocket, and he dad coached at Ohio State, and he said it in his book where he is only considering one school, and that was Ohio State University. So now think about the animal, think about the date. You got the guy who's an Ohio State alum doing the play-by-play, Kirk Herbstreit. You got Ohio State versus Notre Dame, the head coach for Notre Dame, who is going to be, like I mentioned, going to be coaching against his former team, he's a Buckeye, and then the vice president of the United States is a former Buckeye. So again, all of this stuff is going to be going around. And when it comes to what Ryan Day can say to the next recruit in regards to recruiting, in regards to how we're going to show up on the next stage, on the next year, it's what you can say to that young man to say, this isn't just a football program. This is an institution in which we mold men. All right. Look at that as an example, folks. Look at that as an example. You have got to take advantage of every single opportunity. And I'll close you out with this because I have been blessed. I've been blessed. And I've been blessed to be a part and be a part of, coach, been around and seen some things as a kid that I'm now realizing as I'm in my mid-30s, how valuable that moment was for the rest of my entire life. How valuable it was to see how to build a program from scratch, how to make it so people actually believe wholeheartedly in what you are doing, to the point where, I mean, I'm telling you, I'm just telling you the truth. There are people that I've met. I mean, I'll wear this black hat and they ready to throw down. Like, they are ready to they are ready to go at it with me. And I'm like, I'll go at it with all you motherfuckers. You could let's go. But again, I'm getting off topic here. But here's the point. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. There's a belief amongst the Ohio State faithful that doesn't just happen overnight. Same thing with the Michigan faithful. All right. There's a belief in the family, there's a belief in the program, there's a belief in everything that is around the school. Not just about the school in general, but about the kind of people that the school is actually molding. All right. And again, I was blessed to be a part of programs like that coming up. All right. And I'll give you a quick story on how this happened. And then I want you guys to kind of take that into consideration as we're seeing everything kind of play out for the rest of the day. Tomorrow, I'll come on and I'll speak on the importance of public speaking, and we'll dive into the importance of public speaking, because at the core of a lot of what I'm talking about, developing as a public speaker is sort of the creation of all this, whether we're talking MLK, whether we're talking the play-by-play announcer with Kirk Herbstreit, whether we're talking the JD Vance, talking Ryan Day, Marcus Freeman, the head coaching, being a leader and creating these great platforms, creating these great institutions and these great minds. Public speaking is at the core of a lot of these things. But that's for tomorrow. As far as how to take advantage of these opportunities to make it so people actually believe in your product and your service. I'm going to close you out with this one story. It's with the late coach John Vassos, a person that I still to this day refer to as my avatar. He was one of my youth coaches, one of my many great, fantastic youth coaches, John Vassos, who coached me in 2002, and just an absolutely amazing person that, again, unfortunately is not with us anymore physically, but no matter what, he's always going to be here mentally. Always. I mean, first of all, it started the year prior. Yeah, 2 years prior when we played against him. He used to coach the Olney Bears, and this is actually when we wore the Michigan colors, or why I'm such a big Michigan fan. But we used to wear the Michigan colors, and we went against his team named the Olney Bears, and we would always duke it out year after year. They beat us the first year, and that was actually my introduction to him. But then they came over to the White Oak Warriors, and Coach Vassos coached us to that first championship in 2002. Undefeated, went all the way, and again, a story that I can talk about upon hours. I won't do that to you. I'm just gonna tell you one story from that season that, in my opinion, is the reason why the White Oak Warriors became such a powerhouse program, became like the Ohio State or the Michigan type program, or the Good Counsel, the Math, the Gonzagas of the world. The reason we became such a powerhouse program was because of moments just like this. All right. So it was one of the defining games of the season. So this was the year in which the DC Sniper was on the loose. If you're not familiar with the DC Sniper, just look it up. The DC Sniper was guy just, taking people out, just like it sounds. I swear to God, I had to walk. When I walked home from school, during that time, I was probably the fastest I've ever walked. Like, a guy literally, again, look this up yourself. A guy's literally just shooting people. I mean, just deciding to shoot people. Like, we were ducking bullets. It was insane. So that was the same year that the White Oak Warriors moved to Pop Warner, and we won that national championship, right? So instead of playing our games in Montgomery County, because of this madman, we had a game in Baltimore. We had to go to Baltimore for a game on Saturday, and this wasn't cows in Baltimore. This wasn't like suburb Baltimore. This was hood Baltimore. This was in the city Baltimore, in which we played this team named Northwest that was like hood, scrappy, just straight hood dudes. And it's not that we were intimidated by that, but we had a good mix of black, white coaches. We had a solid mix of fundamental football and talent. We had that good mix, but this was just a straight hood Northwest Bulldog team that tried to just bully you and push you around. That's what they were all about, right? So it just so happened that game, at the beginning of that game, the shirts, I think it was like, so we used to wear the spare like Florida State. So the reason I cheer for Florida State after Michigan is because the second team, after we were done wearing the Michigan colors and we moved to the Pop Warner League, we've had the Florida State logo. So ever since then, it's been Michigan, Florida State has been my two teams. But it was before that game in which there were some shirts that were ordered, like a whole bulk of shirts that were ordered because the weather was starting to break. It was starting to get cold. And there were like sweaters that were ordered to people that were, I don't remember the parents actually paying for any. I think Coach Vassos actually bought a bunch of them. He just bought a bunch of sweatshirts and a bunch of T-shirts and a bunch of just White Oak Warrior stuff to have for people to have. So it just so happened that those shirts came in the day before that game, right? So I was there with him when the shirts came in, and Coach Vassos looked at me. He goes, "Hey, look, make sure your dad gets that sweater." He said, "Make sure your dad gets that sweater. Make sure you put it in his hands, and he gets one of them," because he wanted to show his appreciation, obviously. Streaming only, there may be an issue. All right. He said, make sure your dad gets a copy, or gets one of these sweaters, right? So I made sure I gave it to my dad, and immediately in not the freezing cold, but it was getting chilly enough to where it would be crazy for someone to take their shirt off. My dad takes his shirt off outside and puts the White Oak Warrior jersey on, puts the White Oak Warrior sweater on that Coach Vassos had just given and told me to give to him. And I bring all that up. I'm making sure I'm bringing all that up because of the way it connected. Again, for a coach whose son, who I was myself, him, Nick, me, and Nick, Deontay, and Mike Smith, all four of us were the captains of that team. His son, Nick Vassos, being one of the captains of the team. Coach Vassos' dad gives me a shirt that says the White Oak Warriors and make sure I give it to my dad, a parent who has been paying money, has been loyal, has been, very consistent in regards to showing up and bringing me to practice and games and all that. And he makes sure that shirt is, my shirt, my dad has the shirt and all that, a shirt, T-shirts, and, paraphernalia and merch, the apparel that we still have to this very day, over 30 years later. That's the way it is. That's how you believe in a program. That's when you develop a belief in a program. And I'm leaving you with that, business owners. I'm leaving you with that because if you don't do something to make it so people believe wholeheartedly in your program, in your services, in your offering, then the day like Ohio State is going to have today, again, recording this January 20th, 2025, those days will never come because you're so focused on profits and you're not focused enough on people. You got to get focused on people, molding people into becoming better, becoming a person of substance, molding those people into doing great things. And then a day like today can happen for you too. But the focus needs to be on simply molding people day in and day out, the same way I'm doing day in and day out. Molding, my mission is to mold business owners and to become better people, so that the people that do come in and work for them and essentially they hire are becoming better people all around. And if you take that approach as a business owner, then you will start to see more magnificent things happen for you. So that's all I got for today. I reluctant to, I'm happy I got a chance to make sure I got that message, even though it is about those, that Ohio State Buckeye situation. But, as much as I hate the fact that it is them, I love the fact that it provides an opportunity for me to teach you guys as business owners how to build something special. Because if you do it this way, I'm telling you, if every business would run the same way that I described in terms of a youth and high championship level, championship standard youth and high school football teams, if every business would run that way, the world will be so much more of you will not see so much chaos, so much division, so much nonsense, so much left, right, or I don't want to go to this. I'm not going to the inauguration because I don't like Trump. Or I'm not going to watch it. Or I'm not going to, you wouldn't see so much division. You will simply see people that use their logic, use their mindset, and really just understand what's right, what's wrong, and move forward based on that. And whether you agree whether your opinion agrees with that person's opinion, there would always be a level of respect, the same way you see in terms of a level of respect when you watch a football game. What you're going to see today is a great deal of respect between the two head coaches, and they're going to shake hands, whether win or lose. They're going to shake hands. They're going to show a lot of class and a lot of dignity, unlike what we see in our politics when it comes to Republican, Democrat, and some of our business. So we got to learn that. We got to take lessons from the game. So all that being said, I'll be back here tomorrow diving into a lot of what we see today and really giving you guys an understanding of why public speaking needs to be something that you put high on your priority list in terms of teaching. We went out there, main website. Before I go, let me just give you the main website again, patreon.com/eyes144. Make sure you tap in with me there. All that being said, fellow teammates, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon. All right, let's do something real quick. What happened? All right. Saying all that. All right. So something went wrong on. Make sure we're good on